Ethan Walker's eyes fluttered open to a ceiling that was both familiar and, somehow, disconcertingly new. He shot upright in bed, his heart pounding with a strange mix of shock and confusion. This was his old apartment, the one he'd lived in years ago, wasn't it? The faded band poster on the wall, the worn-out desk crammed into the corner. Everything felt like a punch straight back into the past. He pinched himself hard, a sharp sting of pain. Not a dream. Memories from what he could only describe as a previous life flooded his mind, a tidal wave of frustrations, failures, and heartaches. He remembered grinding away at his career for years, getting nowhere. He remembered his marriage to Sophia Davis, how it had crumbled under the weight of daily arguments and icy silences, ending inevitably in divorce. And then the accident. He'd thought that was the tragic end to his miserable life. He hadn't expected to be reborn. Before he could fully process the enormity of it, the doorbell rang. Still dazed, Ethan stumbled to the door. Standing on his doorstep was Sophia. He froze. She was just as beautiful as he remembered, her dark hair falling softly over her shoulders, her eyes bright and clear, though now they held a complex, unreadable expression. "Ethan," Sophia said, her voice crisp and unwavering, striking him to the core. "Marry me." Ethan's eyes widened. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. In his previous life, at this point in time, he and Sophia had just been friends. There was an attraction, sure, but they were nowhere near talking about marriage. And given how their eventual marriage had been a minefield of conflict and pain, why would she suddenly propose? "What did you say?" "Married." Ethan stammered, utterly bewildered. Sophia tilted her head slightly, meeting his gaze. "Yes," she said, her tone serious. "I want to marry you. I know this is sudden, but I've thought it through. I believe we can be happy together." A whirlwind of emotions churned inside Ethan. Why would Sophia make such a decision? Was it love? Or was there some other reason? Images of their unhappy marriage, the constant bickering over trivial things, the way their trust had eroded with each clash, flashed through his mind. He'd once believed Sophia didn't love him at all, that she'd married him simply for the sake of being married. But now here she was proposing to him. It made no sense. "Sophia, why would you suddenly want to marry me? We barely know each other well enough, do we?" Ethan tried, searching for a logical explanation. Sophia's gaze flickered for a moment, then steadied. She bit her lip gently. "Ethan, I've actually been paying attention to you for a while. I know you're a good, hard-working person. I believe we have a future, and I don't want to miss out on you." Hearing her words didn't bring Ethan any joy. Instead, it deepened his confusion. He didn't know if she was being sincere or if there was something else going on. He couldn't tell if he should accept. In his past life, he might have said yes without hesitation. He had, after all, loved Sophia deeply once. But after so much pain and disappointment, he was wary of trusting in love so easily. "Sophia, I appreciate your confidence in me, but I need some time to think about this. It's a lot to take in," Ethan said, feeling helpless. A flicker of disappointment crossed Sophia's face, but she nodded. "Okay, Ethan, I understand. I'll wait for your answer." With that, Sophia turned and left. Ethan watched her go, his mind reeling. He went back inside, sank onto the old sofa, and began to meticulously comb through his memories of Sophia from his past life. He remembered their first meeting at a friend's party. Sophia, in a white sundress, had looked almost ethereal. He'd been instantly captivated and had struck up a conversation. They'd started seeing each other, occasional dinners, movies. He'd found her to be a strong-willed woman, with her own distinct opinions on many things. He, on the other hand, had always been more introverted, not great at expressing his feelings. Their relationship had gradually deepened, and they'd eventually decided to get married. But married life hadn't been the fairy tale they'd imagined. Ethan's career had stalled. He worked constantly, but never seemed to earn his superiors' approval. Sophia, a white-collar professional at a demanding firm, was also under immense pressure. They argued frequently over household chores, who would handle the idea of starting a family. Slowly, cracks had appeared in their relationship, and communication dwindled. Then, one day, Sophia had asked for a divorce. Ethan had tried to salvage things, but she'd been resolute. They went their separate ways. After the divorce, Ethan had sunk into a deep depression, blaming himself, feeling like a failure in both his career and his marriage. And now, fate had handed him a do-over. Sophia's proposal was both a shocking surprise and a source of profound confusion. Was this a blessing or another trap? He began to ponder. If he accepted, what would their future look like? Could he change their past destiny, make their marriage a happy one this time? Or will they just repeat the same painful patterns? Ethan paced his small living room, his thoughts a tangled mess. He knew this decision would define his life. He couldn't make it lightly. He needed more time to understand Sophia's true intentions and to look deep within himself. Over the next few days, Ethan found himself subtly observing Sophia. He noticed she kept a regular, simple routine. Work, home, occasionally a trip to the local supermarket for groceries, then back to her apartment to cook. Sometimes she'd go out shopping or see a movie with friends. On the surface, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Yet, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that Sophia's eyes held secrets. It was as if she were deliberately hiding something, skillfully deflecting any conversation that veered too close to personal depths. This only strengthened his conviction that her proposal had an ulterior motive. One evening, a friend called, inviting Ethan out for drinks. He hesitated but agreed. At the bar, surrounded by the low hum of conversation and clinking glasses, the topic eventually turned to relationships. "Ethan, I hear you and Sophia Davis have been pretty close lately. Anything serious brewing?" One of his friends asked with a grin. Ethan managed a wry smile. "She asked me to marry her." His friend stared, then erupted in congratulations. But Ethan couldn't share their enthusiasm. He confessed his confusion and doubts. "Man, I think this is a great opportunity," one friend advised. "Sophia's a great girl. You should go for it. Yeah, maybe your connection from before wasn't fully played out. This could be your chance to start over right," another chimed in. Their words, though well-intentioned, didn't clear the fog in Ethan's mind. He knew this was a decision he had to make alone. Whatever the outcome, he'd have to face it. Back home, lying in bed, sleep eluded him. Sophia's face, her proposal, replayed in his mind. He knew he couldn't keep avoiding it. He had to make a decision soon. The next morning, Ethan got up early and went to the park they used to frequent. He sat on a bench by the lake, waiting quietly for Sophia. He decided he needed to talk to her to understand what she was truly thinking. Soon, Sophia arrived. She wore a light blue trench coat and white jeans, looking effortlessly chic. She seemed a little surprised to see him, then slowly walked over and sat down beside him. "Ethan, what's up? You wanted to see me?" she asked softly. Ethan took a deep breath, looked in her eyes, and said, "Sophia, I've thought about it. I'm willing to marry you, but I have one condition." A surprised joy flashed across Sophia's face, quickly followed by a more composed expression. "What condition?" Ethan spoke earnestly. "I want us to be completely honest with each other. No secrets. Whatever problems we face them together, and we solve them together." Sophia nodded slowly. "Okay, Ethan, I promise. I'll always be honest with you." Looking into Sophia's sincere eyes, Ethan felt some of his doubts begin to dissipate. He reached out, took her hand. "Then let's work together to build our happiness." Tears welled in Sophia's eyes. She squeezed his hand tightly. "Yes, Ethan, we'll definitely be happy." From that moment, Ethan decided to let go of the baggage from his past life and commit himself fully to his relationship with Sophia. He didn't know what the future held, but he was willing to believe that this time they could write a different love story. Ethan and Sophia's wedding was a beautiful affair, celebrated with friends and family. The venue was warm and romantic. Sophia, in a pristine white gown and elegant makeup, looked like a princess from a storybook. Ethan, sharp in a well-fitted suit, felt a surge of pride and hope. In front of everyone, they exchanged rings and vows, promising a lifetime together. The early days of their marriage were like an extended honeymoon. Sophia would wake up early to make Ethan a hearty breakfast: eggs, bacon, toast, and freshly brewed coffee, the aroma filling their apartment. Ethan, before leaving for work, would give Sophia a deep hug and a gentle kiss, his heart full. When he returned in the evening, Sophia would have a delicious dinner ready. They'd eat by candlelight, sharing stories from their day. At night, they'd cuddle on the sofa, watching their favorite movies or shows on Netflix. Sophia would lean against him, and Ethan would gently stroke her hair. On weekends, they'd stroll hand in hand through downtown, browsing in shops, or walk in the park, enjoying the quiet beauty of nature. Ethan felt this was the happiness he'd always dreamed of, as if the pain and shadows of his past life had finally receded. However, beneath this idyllic surface, subtle inconsistencies began to catch Ethan's attention. One night, he woke up to find Sophia wasn't asleep beside him. He got up and found her standing alone by the bedroom window, bathed in moonlight, her silhouette looking somewhat forlorn and solitary. Ethan quietly approached and hugged her from behind. "Honey, what's wrong? Why aren't you sleeping?" Sophia, startled slightly, then turned, forcing a smile. "Nothing, Just couldn't sleep. You go back to bed, don't catch a cold. Ethan looked into her eyes, sensing an elusive emotion hidden there, but he didn't press, dismissing it as an occasional mood swing. Another time, during a conversation, Ethan casually mentioned their future plans, including when they might want to have children and their long-term family goals. Sophia's expression changed subtly. She seemed sensitive about the topic and quickly changed, let's talk about that later. For now, let's just enjoy the present. A seed of doubt sprouted in Ethan's mind. He didn't understand why she was so avoidant of such an important subject. As time went on, Ethan's unease deepened. He began to discreetly observe Sophia's actions, hoping to find clues to solve the puzzle in his mind. He noticed that when he wasn't home, she would sometimes secretly look through old things in the study. Whenever she heard him return, she'd quickly hide whatever she was looking at and act casual. Ethan was intensely curious. What was she looking at, and why hide it from him? One day, Ethan deliberately came home from work early, tiptoeing into the apartment. He heard a faint rustling sound from the study. He crept to the door and peeked through the slight opening. Sophia was sitting at the desk, holding a battered photo album, her gaze fixed intently and emotionally on the pictures, tears glistening in her eyes. Ethan was stunned. What secrets did that album hold that moved her so deeply? Just then, Sophia seemed to sense his presence. She looked up sharply and saw him at the door. A flicker of panic crossed her face, but she quickly composed herself. She closed the album, stood up, and walked over to him. "Why are you home so early?" Ethan looked at her and asked softly, "Honey, what's in that album? Why did you look so sad?" Sophia was silent for a moment, then said, "It's nothing, just some old memories. Don't overthink it." Ethan knew she was lying. He could see it in her eyes, but he didn't push further, not wanting to embarrass her. He decided to find a better time to talk to her about it. Days turned into weeks. Ethan felt he was getting closer to the truth, but he also grew more afraid of what knowing it might do to their relationship. He was torn between love and suspicion. He loved Sophia deeply and cherished their current happiness, but he couldn't suppress his curiosity and worry. He felt she was hiding something, and this secret could impact their future. One night, as they lay in bed, the room filled with a quiet, intimate ambience, Ethan finally broke the silence. He turned to Sophia and said earnestly, "Honey, I know you're hiding something from me. I want you to trust me. Whatever it is, we can face it together. Please don't treat me like an outsider, okay?" Sophia's body tensed slightly. She turned to look at him, her eyes filled with hesitation and struggle. After a long pause, she said slowly, "Ethan, there are some things I can't tell you right now. But please believe me, I'm doing this for our own good." A wave of disappointment washed over Ethan. He sighed. "All right, Sophia, I'll respect your decision. But I hope you can tell me soon, because I don't want any secrets between us." Sophia nodded, nestled into his embrace, and said no more. During this period, Ethan's career also saw some changes. He was assigned a crucial project. If he succeeded, he'd be in line for a promotion and a raise. Ethan threw himself into the work, often staying late at the office. Sophia, though worried, silently supported him, preparing nutritious dinners and late-night snacks to keep his energy up. However, as the project reached a critical phase, Ethan noticed strange occurrences. Some of his work files seemed to have been tampered with, and important data had inexplicably vanished. Alarmed, Ethan started investigating, suspecting corporate sabotage. As he dug deeper, he found a few clues that, to his horror, seemed to faintly point towards Sophia. Ethan couldn't believe it. Why would Sophia do such a thing? He decided to confront her. When Ethan presented Sophia with the evidence, her face turned deathly pale. She stared at the papers in his hand, tears streaming down her face. "Ethan, I didn't mean to," she sobbed. "I have my reasons, but I can't tell you yet. Please believe me, I never wanted to hurt you." Seeing Sophia so distraught, Ethan felt conflicted. He didn't know whether to believe her, but he knew this couldn't be brushed aside. "Sophia," he said, "I need a reasonable explanation. If you truly have a good reason, I can understand. But you can't keep hiding things from me." Sophia nodded. "Ethan, give me some time. I'll tell you everything." Ethan watched Sophia walk away, his heart heavy with confusion and pain. He didn't know what she was hiding or where their future was headed. He paced the room, memories of their time together, the sweet moments starkly contrasting with his current anguish, replaying in his mind, a tormenting loop. He could only wait for Sophia to give him an answer that could unravel all the mysteries. Ethan watched Sophia's retreating figure, a storm of emotions churning within him. He wondered if pressuring her like this was the right thing to do, but he couldn't bear the feeling of being kept in the dark. In the days that followed, as he waited for Sophia to come clean, Ethan's mood grew heavier. His work suffered, with mistakes being pin frequently. He made frequent mistakes, though thankfully his colleagues helped him fix them, preventing major disasters. One evening, Ethan came home from work to find Sophia wasn't there. He sat alone on the sofa, lost in thought. His gaze drifted to the drawer in Sophia's usual desk. A thought struck him. After a long hesitation, he slowly pulled it open. Inside, among miscellaneous items, was a diary that looked quite old. Ethan gently picked it up, his hand trembling slightly. He knew this was an invasion of Sophia's privacy, but an overwhelming curiosity to find some answers drove him on. Opening the diary, Ethan recognized the neat handwriting as Sophia's. Most of the entries were reflections on their previous marriage, from their first meeting and getting to know each other to the later conflicts and arguments. Each page was filled with Sophia's emotions and thoughts. Ethan immersed himself in the words, as if reliving the pain and struggles of their past life. However, some blurred phrases and strange symbols scattered throughout the pages puzzled him. They looked like some kind of code, sprinkled in odd places, clashing with the surrounding text. Ethan realized this diary might be the key to unlocking Sophia's secret. He began to spend more time and energy trying to decipher it. He holed himself up in the study, meticulously examining the symbols, trying to find a pattern. He tried various methods, from simple letter substitutions to complex mathematical formulas, but made little progress. Meanwhile, Sophia seemed to notice Ethan's unusual behavior. She found him spending long hours alone in the study, and his attitude towards her had become somewhat strained and tense. She felt uneasy, but didn't know how to ask him about it. One night, Sophia knocked softly on the study door and entered. She saw Ethan at the desk, surrounded by papers covered in writing, his expression focused and weary. "Ethan, what are you doing?" she asked softly. Startled by her voice, Ethan looked up, a flash of panic in his eyes, quickly masked. "Oh, nothing, just dealing with some work stuff," he replied, feigning composure. Sophia looked at him, knowing he was lying. But she didn't call him out. She simply nodded. "Well, don't work too hard. Get some rest soon." Then she turned and left. Ethan watched her go, a wave of guilt washing over him. But he knew he couldn't give up on finding the truth. He refocused on the diary. After several sleepless nights of relentless effort, he finally discovered a pattern in the symbols. It turned out to be a cipher based on their past experiences and specific shared memories. By recalling significant events and dates from their previous life, Ethan gradually cracked the code. When he successfully deciphered the words hidden behind the symbols, his face turned ashen. The diary's true content shocked him to the core. Sophia was also reborn. After their marriage failed in her previous life, she had experienced immense pain and regret. She understood that their breakup stemmed from a lack of communication and understanding, as well as some external interferences. Reborn, she had decided to change everything. Approaching Ethan and marrying him proactively was her attempt to mend the past, to find happiness again. However, she had been terrified that Ethan wouldn't be able to accept the truth if he found out. She worried he'd think she had ulterior motives, or that the painful memories of their past would make him reject her. She had written in her diary, "Ethan, I love you, in our past life and in this one. I know hiding this from you is wrong, but I'm so afraid of losing you. I want to give us a fresh start, a future without regrets." Learning the truth, Ethan was profoundly shaken. He was moved by Sophia's deep love for him, yet felt utterly lost about their reborn future. He didn't know how to face Sophia, how to handle this secret. He sat in the study for a long time, his mind racing. He remembered Sophia's cold, desperate eyes when they divorced in their past life, and guilt gnawed at him. He realized he had indeed fallen short in many ways back then, failing to give Sophia enough care and support. And in this new life, Sophia had done so much for their happiness, while he had been doubting her, even secretly reading her diary. He felt like a complete failure. Just as Ethan was sinking into self-reproach, Sophia entered the study again. She saw the diary in his hand, his pale face, and understood everything. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She walked over to Ethan and slowly knelt beside him. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have hidden it from you. I was just so scared of losing you," Sophia sobbed. Ethan looked at Sophia, a sharp pain in his chest. He quickly helped her up. "No, Sophia, I'm the one who should be sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you, and I definitely shouldn't have read your diary. I just care about you so much." Sophia collapsed into Ethan's arms, crying her heart out. Ethan held her tightly, feeling her sorrow and pain. In that moment, some of the distance between them seemed to vanish, but Ethan knew they still had many issues to confront. "Sophia, what do we do now?" Ethan asked softly. Sophia looked up at him, her eyes filled with determination. "Ethan, we face it together. Whatever difficulties lie ahead, we won't run, and we won't hide things anymore. We have to cherish this second chance and walk this path properly." Ethan nodded. He knew it was their only option, but worry still clouded his heart. Could they truly escape the shadows of their past? Would their love withstand the test of time? These questions weighed on him like heavy stones. In the following days, Ethan and Sophia began the difficult process of rebuilding trust. They made a point to spend time talking every day, sharing their thoughts and feelings. Sophia told Ethan more about their past life, including details and inner pains she had never mentioned before. Ethan listened intently, trying to understand the root causes of their past failure so they could avoid repeating those mistakes. However, despite their efforts to move on, memories and habits from their past life still surfaced. When Ethan felt stressed at work, he would unconsciously become quiet and withdrawn, just like before, making Sophia uneasy. And Sophia, when dealing with minor household issues, would sometimes react with excessive sensitivity and anxiety, which frustrated Ethan. They realized that completely escaping the shadows of their past wouldn't be easy. But they didn't give up. They encouraged and supported each other, striving to change themselves and adapt to one another. During this time, Ethan's career took a positive turn. He successfully completed the important project, earning a promotion and a raise. This significantly boosted his confidence and gave him more energy and time to spend with Sophia and build their home life. Sophia, too, was actively pursuing her own dreams. She enrolled in a painting class, rediscovering her old passion for art. She hoped that painting would allow her to express her emotions, release stress, and add more color to their lives. Seeing Sophia's transformation filled Ethan with warmth. He knew they were both moving in the right direction. Their reborn journey was challenging, but also full of hope. Yet, one question still lingered in his mind. Were there other secrets about their rebirth? This doubt, like a ghost in the shadows, occasionally surfaced, unsettling him. After learning that Sophia was also reborn, Ethan's world had tilted on its axis. Though moved by her profound affection, the specter of their failed first marriage still haunted him, filling him with a disquieting mix of hope and trepidation as he navigated this second chance at love. In the days that followed, Ethan actively tried to recalibrate his perspective, to embrace Sophia and the extraordinary reality of their shared rebirth. Their life seemingly settled into a new rhythm, with moments of sweetness and warmth becoming more frequent. Yet that sliver of doubt in Ethan's heart never fully vanished. He'd often find himself lost in thought, pondering the designs of fate and the potential trials that still lay ahead. Sophia, too, sensed Ethan's inner turmoil. She did her best to soothe it with tenderness and care, but the thorns embedded deep in their shared past weren't so easily extracted. They were both treading carefully, hyper-aware of the fragility of this second chance, terrified that one misstep could send them spiraling back into the tragedy of their former lives. One evening, after a grueling day at the office, Ethan dragged his weary body home. The moment he stepped inside, he saw Sophia sitting on the living room sofa, her face unusually pale, a flicker of panic in her eyes. Ethan's stomach tightened. He rushed to her side. "Sophia, what's wrong? Are you feeling okay?" Sophia shook her head slightly, forcing a weak smile. "No, nothing. Just a bit tired, I guess." Ethan looked at her, his intuition screaming that it was more than that. He sat beside her, gently taking her hand, only to find it trembling. "Sophia, don't hide it from me. What happened?" His tone was firm, insistent. Sophia remained silent for a long moment, then finally spoke, her voice low. "Ethan, I met someone today. He seemed to know about us being reborn." Ethan's eyes shot wide with shock. "What? How is that possible? Who was he?" Sophia took a deep breath. "His name is David Carter. He was a friend from my previous life. I ran into him Vipadkovo accidentally, by chance while I was at the mall. I didn't think much of it at first, but the way he looked at me, it fell off. He came over, said hello, and then he said some strange things, hinting that he knew our secret." Ethan's brow furrowed, a sense of foreboding washing over him. "What exactly did he say?" Sophia recounted the encounter, her voice trembling. "He said, 'Fate is a funny thing, isn't it? Some mistakes, even with a chance to do them over, can't always be truly fixed.'" "Ethan, I just panicked. I don't know how he knew or what he wants." Ethan stood up, pacing the living room, his mind racing. Who was this David Carter? How could he possibly know their secret? Were there others like them? A million questions swirled in his head. Sophia, try to stay calm, Ethan said, attempting to reassure her, though his own composure was paper thin. Maybe he was just fishing, or it was a bizarre coincidence. We can't let ourselves fall apart over this. For the next few days, an unspoken tension hung over Ethan and Sophia. They were constantly on edge, watching for any sign of David Carter, fearing he might reappear and bring more trouble. But then, he seemed to vanish without a trace. Just as they were beginning to lower their guard, Ethan was stopped on his way home from work by a mysterious figure. The man wore a baseball cap pulled low, obscuring most of his face. "You're Ethan Walker, right?" the stranger said, his voice low and raspy. Ethan eyed him warily. "Who are you? What do you want?" The man let out a cold chuckle. "Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that I know your secret. Yours and Sophia's. You think being reborn changes anything. You're naive." A jolt went through Ethan. "What are you trying to say?" The stranger slowly looked up, revealing a pair of deep-set, chillingly cold eyes. "Your fate in your past life was sealed. This life won't be any different. If you don't want to end up in misery again, you'd better do as I say." "Are you threatening us?" Ethan demanded, anger flaring. The man didn't answer. He simply reached into his pocket, pulled out an envelope, and handed it to Ethan. "There's something in here for you. Take it home, look it over carefully. After you've seen it, you'll know what to do." With that, the stranger turned and walked away, leaving Ethan rooted to the spot, a maelstrom of confusion and fury raging inside him. He rushed home and tore open the envelope. Inside were photographs and a letter. The photos were of him and Sophia from their past life, some intimate, others capturing moments of bitter argument. The letter analyzed the reasons for their failed marriage and issued a stark warning about their current life, claiming that if they didn't change certain behaviors, disaster would strike again. Ethan's face was grim as he finished reading. He passed the photos and letter to Sophia. Her reaction was one of equal shock. "Ethan, what is all this? Who's behind this?" Sophia asked, her voice laced with anxiety. Ethan shook his head. "I don't know, but I won't be threatened by him. We fought too hard for this second chance to just give up." Sophia nodded, a determined glint in her eyes. "You're right. We can't give up. Whoever is trying to mess with us, we'll face them together." But things weren't that simple. As time went on, strange incidents began to plague them. Ethan started experiencing inexplicable setbacks at work, errors that put him in an awkward position with his superiors. Sophia, too, faced trouble at her painting class. Her artwork was repeatedly vandalized. These events left Ethan and Sophia exhausted and demoralized, making them question if they could truly alter their destiny. After one particularly heated argument, Sophia ran out of the apartment heartbroken. Once Ethan calmed down, he realized his mistake and rushed out to find her. He found her on a park bench, crying silently. He approached her gently and pulled her into an embrace. "Sophia, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you. I was just overwhelmed." Sophia looked up at him. "Ethan, maybe we really were wrong. Maybe we can't change fate. No matter how hard we try, maybe we're doomed to end up back where we started." Ethan gripped her hands tightly. "No, Sophia, we can't give up that easily. These are just temporary setbacks. If we keep fighting, we'll find a way through this." Just then, Ethan's phone rang. He answered it. A familiar voice came through the line. "Ethan, if you want to solve your problems, come meet me." Ethan's heart leaped. He recognized the voice. It was David Carter. He glanced at Sophia, then spoke into the phone. "All right, I'll meet you." Ethan went to the secluded coffee shop David had specified. David was sitting in a corner. He nodded slightly when Ethan arrived. "What do you really want?" Ethan asked, getting straight to the point. David Carter offered a faint smile. "Ethan, I'm not actually trying to hurt you. I just want you to understand that fate is a powerful force, not something you can easily change. Why are you doing this? Who are you really?" Ethan pressed. David was silent for a moment, then said slowly, "Like you, I'm also someone who was reborn, but I came back much earlier than you did. I've tried countless times to change my fate, and every single time, I've failed. I don't want to see you make the same mistakes." Ethan stared. "You're reborn too? Then why threaten us?" David sighed. "I wasn't threatening you. I was trying to give you a reality check. Your marriage failed in your past life for many reasons, and those factors still exist in this one. If you genuinely want to change your destiny, you have to find the root causes of those issues and deal with them head on." Ethan listened to David's words, a profound realization dawning on him. David had a point. They had been reborn, but they hadn't truly delved into why their past life had gone so wrong. They had merely been trying to superficially patch things up. "So what should we do?" Ethan asked. David looked at him intently. "You need to re-examine yourselves, identify your weaknesses and unresolved issues from your past life. Only then can you truly change your fate." Ethan returned home and relayed David's words to Sophia. She, too, felt there was truth in what he said. And so, they began to quiet their minds, to revisit every detail of their past life, searching for those deeply buried problems. In this process, they discovered that their past failure wasn't just due to poor communication or external pressures. More importantly, it was because they lacked courage and resolve when facing problems. They had always chosen to avoid or compromise, rather than actively working to solve things. Realizing this, Ethan and Sophia decided to change their approach. They would no longer fear difficulties and challenges, but would face them bravely. They believed that with enough courage and determination, they could indeed change their destiny and create the happy future they both longed for. After their profound introspection, Ethan and Sophia felt as if they'd been truly reborn, imbued with a new strength. The shadows of their past life no longer held them captive. Instead, they faced their new existence with a positive and resolute spirit. One bright morning, Ethan woke early and prepared an elaborate breakfast. Golden yellow fried eggs, crispy bacon, perfectly toasted bread, and a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice adorned the table, with a vibrant bouquet of flowers as a centerpiece. When Sophia emerged from the bedroom, sleepy-eyed, her face lit up with surprise and emotion. "Honey, did you make all this?" she asked softly, a note of disbelief in her voice. Ethan walked over, gently pulled her into his arms, and kissed her forehead. "Of course, my love. From today on, I want you to feel my love and care every single day." Sophia hugged him back tightly, tears welling in her eyes. "Ethan, I'm so happy. I believe we can do this." From then on, they began to invest more consciously in their relationship. Ethan, outside of work, took on more household chores. He learned to operate the washing machine, meticulously laundering their clothes. He ventured into the kitchen, following online tutorials to cook various dishes. Though there were minor mishaps, Sophia was always there with encouragement and praise. Sophia, in turn, found ways to help Ethan de-stress when work pressure mounted. She'd make him a rich cup of coffee and sit with him quietly, listening as he vented about his day, or prepare a warm foot soak, gently massaging his temples as he relaxed. They also started paying more attention to each other's interests. Ethan would accompany Sophia to art exhibitions, carefully observing each painting. Though his understanding of art was limited, he focused on sharing Sophia's joy and excitement. Sophia, equally, supported Ethan's career. When he worked late, she'd prepare a nutritious late-night snack and sit quietly nearby, not wanting to disturb his focus. One weekend, Ethan took Sophia to their old university campus. Strolling along familiar paths, memories flooded back. Classes together, studying in a library, walking across the quad. "Ethan, do you remember the first time we met on this campus?" Sophia asked with a smile, her eyes full of nostalgia. Ethan nodded, his face radiant with happiness. "Of course I do. You were wearing a white dress, like an angel walking right into my life. From that moment, I knew you were going to be the most important person to me." They found a bench by the campus lake. The water sparkled under the sun, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers. "Sophia," Ethan said, taking her hand seriously, "we've been through so much pain and so many setbacks, but I believe these were all tests from fate. Now we have a chance to start over, and we have to cherish it." Sophia looked at Ethan, her eyes resolute. "Yes, Ethan, let's work together and create our beautiful future." As time passed, Ethan achieved even greater success in his career. Through hard work and talent, he successfully completed one major project after another, earning high praise from his superiors and securing a promotion. Sophia also made significant progress in her art. Her paintings began to be featured in small local exhibitions, garnering positive reviews from art enthusiasts. However, just when they thought everything was moving in the right direction, a new challenge emerged. The company Ethan worked for suddenly faced a major crisis, with the threat of a hostile takeover by a competitor. If the company was acquired, Ethan would likely lose his job, and their lives would be severely impacted. Deep anxiety and worry consumed Ethan, but he refused to be defeated. He began working day and night, collaborating with his colleagues to develop a counter-strategy, desperately seeking a solution. Sophia watched him, her heart aching. She silently supported him from the sidelines, offering emotional encouragement and ensuring he was taken care of at home. Ethan, Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Sophia comforted him gently. Whatever happens, I'll always be by your side. Ethan looked at Sophia, his heart swelling with gratitude. Sophia, thank you. With you here, I feel like I can face anything. Through the combined efforts of Ethan and his colleagues, they finally devised a viable plan. They successfully negotiated a strategic partnership with another firm, not only averting the crisis, but also opening up new avenues for growth for their company. Ethan became a key figure in this success, solidifying his position within the company. This ordeal further deepened Ethan and Sophia's bond. They knew that when faced with difficulties, as long as they trusted and supported each other, nothing could stop them. One quiet evening, Ethan and Sophia went up to their building's rooftop garden. Stars speckled the night sky, and a bright moon cast a silvery glow over the city. They sat close together, enjoying the peaceful, beautiful moment. Ethan, what do you think our future will be like? Sophia asked softly, leaning against his shoulder. Ethan gazed at the sky, his eyes full of hope. I believe our future will be filled with happiness and joy. We'll share many more wonderful times, watch our children grow, and grow old together. Sophia looked up at him, a blissful smile on her face. Yes, I believe that too. From that day forward, Ethan and Sophia continued their journey hand in hand, writing their own legend of rebirth with love and courage. Their story became an inspiration to their friends and a precious treasure in their own hearts. In this reborn world, they had finally found their happiness, and they held on to it tightly, never to let go.